What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel, and today I want to talk to you guys about something very interesting. I know I haven't done any videos of late of notable importance, but this one will be important. So I want to talk about how history has been skewed and how the elites are trying to erase history, but you can only hide history and you can never destroy the truth. You can only hide the truth, but you can never destroy it. So when I was growing up, we always learned about like bullshit history, such as like the Great Fire of London, and they told us how like more than half of like London burned down, old London, and they had to rebuild it, and it was because of the reason that I learned when I was in elementary school was that someone left their old stone oven, like it started from a fire from a bakery, like someone baking bread. And now that I look at it and I know all the lies of history, I know that these elites, they will burn down, burn down and destroy major cities and structures to hide history. And I'm looking at the dates here. Actually, it's very interesting. It says it happened on the 6th of September, 16666. The occult number is right there in plain sight. And they say here, the Great Fire of London was a major conflagration that swept through central London from Sunday the 2nd September to Thursday the 6th September 1666, gutting the medieval city of London inside the old Roman city wall. Because Rome, they conquered so much of the old world and expanded so far. Anyway, so let's go back and look at some old photos. So I want to show you guys some old things that I found on the David Rumsey website, and this thing's probably going to be like, all these photos are going to be gone one day, but I want to show you guys how the history has been hidden, and man has been degenerating since the beginning. So when God created everything 6,000 years ago, I know it's hard to believe if you're not a watcher of my channel, but the earth was created 6,000 years ago. God created Adam and Eve. Well, he created everything in 6 days, rested on the 7th. He didn't need to rest. He just wanted to enjoy his creation. And on the 6th day, he created, the last thing he made was Eve. Adam and Eve were created fully mature, and they were pre-programmed by God, meaning they had advanced knowledge of everything, of knowledge that, of example, plants, properties, how to craft, they could name animals, they could speak, and etc., etc. So it's essentially from there our genetics have been degenerating, because they were at the purest and they lived the longest. In those days, people lived, it was a golden age that people in all history have been talking about, this golden age that where people live longer. And all ancient cultures recorded of a ancient flood and of a single family that pretty much seeded their whole society, meaning the survivors of the flood, Noah and his family. So pretty much after the flood, everyone spread out across the world, and everyone knew that there was a flood and the Bible was true, and etc., etc. So pretty much I want to show you guys all these old photos from the David Rumsey collection, and I've only looked up to like year 1588, but I have thumbed through I think a few of these other ones, but pretty much I was looking for, and they have I noticed that there are planted ones, like they have planted live photos, like they look really modern, but like ball earth photos, but I'm not going to get into that. I'll make a video next about how I seen this. Like I'll make some flat earth ones pretty soon, and I'll make a massive collection video of my memes I found that were interesting. But pretty much we can see here that what I'm saying is true, and all these older cities that have existed throughout history have been destroyed, burned down, and because they were more I don't want to say advanced, but the structures they built were better for accommodating man. The ceilings were taller, the doors were larger, everything was built to last a long time, and everyone had a better standard of living, better quality of life. And we can see in all these old photos, well, it's a little bit too much zoom. I hate how the zoom is so expanded here, but Let me see if I can just back out of this. Yeah, we can see that everything had organization, and every single one of these old cities had churches. So everyone was a believer in God. Most people were believers in God. And I think up to the point of the 1900s and 18 to 1900s, people were starting to make advancements in technologies. They were starting to create their own private inventions, and people were starting to figure out how to make free energy, such as Nikola Tesla. I'm going to show you some images later, but we can see, I don't know where this is exactly, Tivoli, but you guys can Google. This is probably somewhere in Italy. I'm not sure exactly, but I'm just assuming, right? But some of the cities I can recognize, but the language and some of the cities have changed their names in throughout history, which is what the elites will do. They'll change cities' names and such so that we kind of lose track of history, right? But we can see in this photo, there's a bunch of major churches here. Let's see the next photo here. Bunch of churches here. Gorlitz. And again, you guys can Google where this is exactly. The year. What is this? The year. What is L? I know that X is 10 or 0. And V is 5. But what is L? I'm assuming 2000 BC? I'm not sure. No, it can't be. 1000. It probably was 1, eh? The year 1005? 1045? I don't know. I'm not sure, but volume 2, Gorlitz. We can see that this city has a bunch of churches too. And look how advanced everything looked. I know everything was really close together, and maybe at this time they didn't have proper sewage systems, but look at how everything was so designed, like built to be organized. Okay, just keep that in mind. Okay, so we got churches here. We got major churches around here. Like a big cathedral, a castle or something. Look, Saint Nicholas, what? Something. Saint Petrus. This is Saint Peter. This is just Saint Peter. It's just another way to say it, Saint Peter. Interesting. Okay, next one. I don't know where this is, but it looks nice. People, I mean, there's always been an elite class. There's always been a impoverished class, a peasant class, right? But look, Saint Nicholas. What? Port Nimi, Port Hare. Where is this? Mons Arise. I guess you guys can search that. I don't have time to do that, but I know that this is the true history, and you know, you guys can take my word for it or do their own research. I don't recommend you guys believe anything that anyone says, but we can see there's churches here, right? These old churches, and this whole city looks very, very, very well organized. Again, the elites will always burn down the old world to make room for the new, and they're going to do that right now currently. But this one looks like somewhere in Germany. So let's look in here. I guess this is from different angles. And these old days they didn't have cameras, so they had to actually sketch it out. Someone would have to actually sketch it out. A historian, right? But very interesting. Many old churches here. Look, Saint Michael, Santa Claus. No, I don't know, but Saint Claus, I guess. Very interesting. Look, churches everywhere, because everyone in these days, like up to 200 years ago, everyone knew that there was God, and God from the Bible existed, and he was the real deal, and everyone followed the rules. That's why when they started teaching the evolution and fake space lie, everyone started sinning more, and the crime rate exploded in like the 1960s, 70s. Let's look at this one now. Where is this one? Looks like another German city. Interesting. Like, they got these churches everywhere. Completely, everyone's a God believer. And then they always want to talk about how, oh, these church people were paranoid and they would burn people on the just superstition, but they were finding these elite occultists, witches and warlocks, and they would catch them and burn them on the stake, not for just because they suspected something, because they had hard evidence. They always act like, oh, everyone was stupid in these days, but everyone had more common sense and common knowledge than nowadays. Look, they got these churches here, churches, crosses. Cool. Imagine to be like in these days where you could get into a duel with someone for some dishonorable thing and lose your life or something. That would suck, actually. But I don't know. Would I prefer that over now? Maybe. I'd be pretty good with a sword. I mean, in these days, you'd have to practice a lot, right? Look, they got churches here. Where's this? This looks like somewhere in France, maybe. Churches everywhere. This is like the year what? What year is this? Yeah, 50 between this era, 1541 to 1622. Next one, I don't know where this is either. But it's in the same era. But it's another part of the European world. The old world. And look, churches everywhere. St. Thomas. Right? You guys watching this? Everything very well organized. I mean, you're going to see. Just keep watching my video. You're going to see. Okay, next, I got only like, what, 5 more? This is Moscow. And I guess these are their churches here. 1 and 2 and 3. And it's a little bit simpler, but we can see that everything was very well organized. They got all the homes in one area in large groupings where they could burn everything down actually in the future. Maybe they at least planned this already in their castles. They've always planned stuff, scheming in the shadows behind closed doors. Bastards. Maybe this is Constantinople. I'm not sure. But we can see, again, churches everywhere. And you guys can search these old names. Again, I don't have time to do that. I have a lot of things to do in my life, but do your own research. This is what God has led me to. I haven't just figured it out. It's because God led me out to all this. Wow, it's so cool. I don't know if I want to see gladiator fights to the death, but I guess in these days, I mean, that was before, right? Way before. This is 1500. Maybe gladiator fights happened like 500 years before this. But you can see again, people were believers in God. Why? Why did everyone believe in God? Because I have a theory. After the flood, everyone spread out and everyone told their great grandchildren, etc., the same story that they all taught from. They were all taught from their parents. And this is what another city in, I don't know, near Germany, near Austria. Look, St. Thomas, St. Thomas. It's just another way that it's just like when King James he issued he wanted the King James version to be written, so he sent out a bunch of people to a bunch of his followers, like he commissioned the Bible to be written, and he sent out a bunch of people to go out and collect different versions from other parts of the world, and they congregated together. They took all the versions and they compared them, and all of them were the same, and they hadn't been seen together for like hundreds of years. So all the stories were the same, just the names were different. But the point is, they all knew that this all happened. It was all true. And then the elites started scheming. Satan started scheming, and he said, okay, we got to erase history. So he used the elites to do that. Look, Bavaria. This looks like Bavaria. Let's look at that. Churches everywhere. Churches everywhere. Why did everyone believe in why did everyone have churches here? Because they knew this was, and look how like organized and grand everything looked. Okay, next one, London. This one looks interesting actually to me. So everything was very large and organized, and then they burned half of it down. Interesting. Very interesting. Look how, like, look at the streets. Very large. I think this is a river actually, but is that a river? Yeah, it looks like. Oh, these are just vast rivers? Really? I think some of these are streets actually. Yeah, yeah. But some of them are actually. I guess that's for the water, eh? But interesting. Let me see. Well, regardless, you guys can see some organization. People weren't stupid in the past; they were more advanced. And as we can look around and see that we're degenerating. It's pretty obvious to see that. But I want to show you guys something else. So we're gonna compare old photos, cities of, like, old photos of cities from the old days to the current. And I got a bunch of cities that I took time for me to get this prepared, but we'll go through all these cities, and I think there's one that I might want to search. I think Chicago. I might have to search that online, but let's look at it now. Okay, so let's look at London in the old times. So here's old London, right? And we can see, like, look at these structures. Look at the people. Look at how everything was designed. Beautifully organized. Large buildings. Look how, like, everyone dressed. Classy. Elegant. And look, they still had these Freemason buildings there. They still had. This is like an actual. The last one was like a artist's rendition, a drawing where he just sketched it on the spot. Back in that day. This one's a photo, but you can see here. They still had these Roman Freemasonic buildings, because these elites have always existed for millennia. Now let's look at the new London, or current day London. I mean, yeah, it's got some glass large buildings, but for the most part, it don't look that great to me. Especially since we don't have any, like, modern day huge cityscapes, but they just added these glass structures, but they didn't build them with the same care like the other ones. And I know some of these structures, like these, and what's that place called? The prison? London, you know, where the London clock is. I think that's a prison. And where they keep the royal jewels. Some of those buildings have been around forever. But for the most part, a lot of this stuff has just been built recently. And I know some of the stuff is towering above all the old stuff, but the old buildings are tall. They're tall and they're grand with detail. And the new ones are just bland and boring and quick to make. Let's look at this one now, modern day. Okay, I know this might be not the best example, but trust me, you'll see it. Okay, let's look at the next one. Let's look at Old York. This one is 1500. Pretty cool, eh? Everything's like more very organized. Probably less crime. Now let's look at the new one, New York. I mean, actually, there was a place called York that was before New York. That's why they call it New York. But it looks very, like, crowded and everything not as organized. You know what I mean? I know we might be looking at it from a different angle, but a lot of these buildings are. I mean, some of them have been there for a while, but it's just like they just jam everything, pack everyone into the cities. They don't have any consideration for people's how they're gonna live. You know what I'm saying? Let me see old images. Okay, we're done with London. Okay, just stay with me, guys. Stay with me. Okay, let's look at old Detroit. I think this building's still around. But look at these buildings. Look how people lived. Better quality of life. and people worked hard in those days, but people were stronger, weren't as weak and degenerated like us. And Adam and Eve were taller than us. They could run faster. They were stronger, smarter. They lived longer, 1,000 years long, so they could learn a lot in that time. But we don't live that long. What, like, what's our average lifespan? Like 70 years now? 70? And all these Freemasons who are become famous, all of them, they like get fame and fortunes quickly, and then Satan takes their life early. They only live to like 60, right? Or 50. When really God gives us a limitation of 120. Like, we can live to 120, but that's the limit. Anyone who says, oh, they live longer, they probably forgot a couple of years in their brain, because the limit is 120. No one will live past 120. Okay, this is old Detroit. Let's look at the new one. Like I said, some taller buildings, but doesn't look as organized and as grand. And they have these, like, Ford, this huge stadium here. I don't know if that's a factory or stadium, but that's the stadium. That looks like, what, a factory or something? No, that's probably a stadium too, for some other sports. The modern day Olympic Games, because Rome never died. They just hid themselves in the Vatican. They turned themselves into the Catholic Church. But again, you're gonna see. Look at this area. What happened here, eh? Wow. Just let it all. They destroyed everything, burned down buildings, just like they burned down. These elites are burning down lands now. Like, you guys can believe that all these fires that are happening are natural, but it's not true. I've seen footage of airplanes dropping flames down. Some truther, someone who's doing this, who's forced to do this stuff, they didn't feel right, so they recorded what was happening. And I've seen them in their airplanes dropping fire on forests, and they use airplanes and they have chemical fires, and essentially they're just burning down lands. And like in Hawaii, like, I always bring up Hawaii because you see and in California, Paradise Falls, or Paradise, what is it called? It's like it was like a town or something, or a small rural area where literally the cars melted into liquefied steel, which is impossible under normal forest fire temperatures. But you can see how everything's just collapsing and falling apart and not as grand as before. Okay, let's look at old Berlin. Look, they always had these buildings, eh? These Freemasonic buildings. But again, everything was built very grand and ornate. Look at this, eh? Wow. Gerber Schule. Fürstenhaus. Rathaus Nikolai Kirsch. Damn, these names are long. Maybe I'm just saying it too slow, but I don't know. These guys. Wow, look at all this, like, all of this. Everything looks grand. Everything looks big. Everyone had a nice big space to live in. Oh, let's look at the next photo, actually. Where is this? Berlin, yeah. In what? 1900. Now let's look at it now. Current day. New Berlin, Germany. I only had one photo, but I mean, you can see here clearly from this cityscape, it just doesn't look the same. Doesn't look as grand. Doesn't look as. It looks blasé. I know this photo's not the best, but again, I don't have time to go through all these, like, download everything for all these, like, every angle for every city, but you're gonna see here clearly in this one here. Okay, so okay, let's look at New Moscow first, actually, for this one. Let's look at New Moscow. So they do have some pretty cool giant, like, they have a university that looks pretty grand. I know the Russians like to show off a lot, and like this one, I think this is a university or something. Looks quite grand. It does look like pretty cool, especially in certain angles. But let's look at the old one now. Look at this. Look, Glasgow International Exhibition. Look at it now. What is this crap? Garbage. Look at how grand it looked. I think at one time Russia had a good monarchy. Like there was a monarchy that actually cared about their people, and then they got killed. They got executed, taken over. But don't let the Google history lie about the exhibitions. I remember my father. He would tell me, "Oh yeah, Expo '86, Expo '86, like in 1986, they had this expo and they would build these like temporary structures and teach people about science and have like these fairs and stuff." But to be honest, this wasn't an exposition. They would say, "Oh, these things were just made of like plywood," and they would just take them down later. That's not true. These things were real stone, real marble, real solid structures, and they would destroy them in fires, in war. They would create a war, something they would do in history, and they would destroy these buildings. But that's the truth, guys. Let's look at the original one here. Like a huge cityscape here. This is an old photo I downloaded from the David Rumsey. Some of these files are quite large, and they do take time to download. They do take time to load in. So it's hopefully it loads in. But wow, look at that. Look at how people lived back then. Elegant. Wow, look at the detail. Wow, this is pretty amazing just to see how this is like the old royal, what is that, the royal family? And look, they got the pillars there because there's always been people in the government who have been part of these elite Freemasonic cults. But let's just look through here. Very cool. Oh look, that's still here. This is still there. Wow. If only the people of Russia could see this, right? I'm sure a lot of them don't know about this. So cool. Look how people dressed. These guys look poor, but they're still enjoying, coming to see. Wow. Look at as far as you can see these houses that are they have a lot of these. Look, that must be a bank or something. Look at way over there. Wow. Oh, look, another, like, these Freemasonic structures. Maybe these were hotels or banks, I'm not sure. Maybe they were just buildings where people lived. This is crazy. Look how amazing this is. Moscow? Like, what, 200, 100 years ago? This is crazy. Look how beautiful it is. Look, they have another one like that. Wow. Again, I'm kind of going fast here, but because I have some more things to show you guys. And it's quite late, but I just want to show you guys this stuff. Oh my gosh. Wow, look at the detail of these structures, man. It's just beautiful how they built everything. And look how wide the streets are. I guess these guys would pick up the horse shit. And think about it, these horses, they didn't have to take gasoline, but they did have to take hay, right? You have to feed them. Beautiful. Okay, we got a few more cities to go through. So let's look at actually New France. Okay, so we got this one. It's like a typical night scene of current day France. I didn't choose 2023 because there's probably a lot of people riding because the elites have raised the retirement age by 2 or 3 years. And I would be pissed off too. But it's like no matter what the working class does, even if we riot, the only way that we can win is if we go into a huge war. And the elites will use soldiers, right? Advanced soldiers that we don't even know about. I've heard of this black army. It's like it's a huge army that just rampages across the world and no one knows who owns them. But I'm sure the elites are the ones who will control them through the military industrial complex from the America or probably UN maybe. But the point is that the only way to win is to actually go through a battle and kill these people. But in the end, if we do take them out, more will replace them. So it's just like we have to just humble ourselves and let these things happen. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not so comfortable to say let our rights be taken, but prophecy has to be fulfilled, right? And Christians are gonna have to go through hard times. People who believe in God are gonna have to go through hard times, persecution and death to see the light at the end of the tunnel, to see prophecy being fulfilled, right? To wait for Jesus' return. But look at this is like what, modern day 2022. And look at this one. I remember watching that stupid movie, what's it called, with Tom Hanks, the Da Vinci Code. He's trying to figure out some bullshit, and then it's such a blasphemic movie because pretty much the movie was saying that Jesus was a regular human being and he had a wife and they had a kid, and the daughter was, this woman had lineage to Jesus Christ. And it made me so angry. And look, they even put it in this they even put the end of the movie ends here. And look, we got this picture, I just found it online, but they got that Freemasonic structures here. They got the pyramid. They got the as above, so below symbolism here. And I talk about that in my other videos, but that's like a dualism, symbolic nonsense BS. And the end of the movie, they find out that, that Jesus' remains are here somewhere. Or like her great grandfather was buried here, and he has like lineage to Jesus Christ, and she has the blood of Jesus in her. And then they just decide to like keep it secret because they're Freemasons and they don't want anyone to know that. They want to have control. It's just such a Freemasonic movie. Like they want to let people lose hope, but they want to use that to control them. It's just, don't let anyone tell you that Christianity or religion has been designed to control us. Like there is a God, there is a creator who created everything. You don't need to have some sign. The signs are the beautiful sunsets, the moon, the full moon in the sky, all the fruits and their delicious differences and their flavors, all the amazing animals and their personalities and their love for the humans, and love between a man and a woman. All these things are designed by God. Okay, it's like finding a painting in a forest. You would know there's a painter. So why doesn't we look around and say we know there's a creator? But these stupid scientists, they want to lie to us. Now here I want to talk about, here's Paris, France, 1900, and here is 2017. Look how shit it looks. Look how garbage it looks compared to how it looked in 1900. And again, they're going to tell you, oh, this was an expo. These are all made of cardboard, and they just pulled them down for like a year. They left them up for 6 months to a year. I remember my father, he just ate that garbage up. And he ate up also the ancient alien garbage lie. And I could say, currently we're not really talking, but, God bless him. I do respect and care for him, but he's wrong on a lot of things, and he's very argumentative, and he's toxic, and we'll just keep him away from me. But I just want to say, like, look at, where's global warming? Where's the where's the ocean level rising? How come 117 years later the ocean levels haven't risen? Shouldn't this place be like underwater if global warming is happening? Climate change bullshit. So the climate change hoax was just created to steal our money, just like everything else in the scam system. Okay? And eventually they're going to say, hey, they're already doing it now. Hey, we have to save like the carbon bullshit. Like you have to eat fake meat now. You're not allowed to eat meat because we have to save the earth. You have to do your part. And they're going to say, hey, there's forest fires, civilians are making them because they're stupid, and they're making campfires, and they're leaving their whatever bullshit, smoking cigarettes in the park, in the forest. I don't know what they're going to say, but they're going to say some bullshit where like, hey, we're going to have to save the earth, guys, the green movement, and we're not allowed to go to forests because we want to save them. The green movement is going to take away so many of our rights. Let's go to the next city. I'm getting pissed off here. Virginia, Richmond. Let's look at old Richmond. Again, it's a small photo, but deal with it. Let's look at the next photo, because this one's hurting my eyes. But you can see, okay, large structures, right? This one's a real photo. That one's an artist drawing. But it's not like he just imagined it. He actually was there and he drew it all, sitting there. Very cool, right? Now let's look at New Virginia. think I have more photos of the new than old, but I think a couple of these buildings look really old, but they just threw up a couple new ones. You know, they want to make us think like, oh, these are always business ones. They're not like anyone where anyone's living in them. They're just business bullshit ones. Corporate offices and stuff like that. Banking buildings, whatever. And they just throw them up to overshadow, you know, the old ones. But the old ones, when all this whole area was filled with these types of buildings, it looked more grand, and everyone had a better life. Everyone had better rights, better life, more freedom. Look at all this part here where there's probably a bunch of stuff built here, and it's all destroyed. Next, I think this was Main Street that we saw in the other photo, and just another angle from we were over there. Now we're looking this way. Doesn't look so great to me. Sorry. Okay, let's look at Old Francisco. Actually, let's look at the new one first, because the new one, it's a big difference. Okay, I only have one here, but you guys get the picture. Okay, so we're looking from far off, I think, to the south, from the south to the north, and we can see that we got this whole, I think it's called the, what is it called? The business, like, commerce area. You know, they got the banks, they got the shopping, they got the corporate offices, they got the banking buildings here. And then we have all here, the rural area, suburbs, all the places where the people and working class live, right? They want to pack all of us into cities. That's why they're burning up all these forest fires. They're not due to climate change and the global temperatures rising. They're just doing this on purpose to displace the people who have private property and destroy it. And then I've heard even like elites like Oprah are buying up all the property in Hawaii. How come her place didn't burn down? How come we see photos of people and their property, like their house burned down, but there are trees still around their house? What's up with that? And then look, they want to move all of us into cities so they can have one day when they force the people to, like, they're gonna keep defunding the police, right? And then we're gonna get like a lot of crime, right? And then the people are gonna say we need help, and then the elites are like, that's what we planned the whole time. They're gonna put the military police here, and then they're gonna say, like, a military force that they created, and they're gonna say, hey, papers please, you can't go here, you can't go there, curfew, blah 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 blah. Okay, let's look at old San Francisco. Cool, right? Now I think in these days there wasn't like a main electric company that provided electricity. I think every single few blocks or every single home had their own like electric generator thing. I'm not sure exactly how it worked, but I noticed that there was these meters that were in front of everyone's home back in these days. And it's like now we just have like one of these boxes for like a whole bunch of units, instead of like each person having their own thing, which is like, seems like some industry got monopolized there. The energy industry probably. And look at how grand and everything looked. Grand. Look at these huge buildings. Brand spanking new. I know they look dated now, but the point is things would be so much better if they didn't fucking everything up. And they always talk about the evolution of man, but these elites are actually screwing up the evolution of man. If they really believe in that, which there is no evolution of nothing, but nothing ever evolved from one type of species. They call it species, but from one type to another. Nothing ever evolved from anything. But if they want to advance man, then help mankind. Stop fucking them over and try to control everything. But they're not gonna listen to me and nobody. They're gonna just keep doing what they want to do. And we can see here, everything was big, grand. Everyone had better lives. Okay, next. Oh yeah, last one, I guess. Ancient. Let's look at modern Rome. The city of the Satanic Vatican. Probably where the Antichrist is going to come from. I don't know. People have said that there's going to be an AI that rewrites the Bible, and that there's going to be an AI Antichrist, which is possible. I mean, it's probably more probable that the devil or some demon will be taking over an AI, right, to control and to become a leader. They're going to say, hey, this AI knows better than man, right? But some people think it's one of the popes. right? Satanic Vatican. Vatican City there. Look, they got the Freemasonic pillars there. Okay, now let's look at ancient Rome. First, let's look at this old one I got. It's super like fat quality, but like look at this. Like I think this one might be an artist's rendition. So I don't think he was there, but I think, you know, they had a lot of historical records at the time that he could probably go back to, and probably pieces of other pictures that people drew, and this is what he came out with. And look how grand it is. Look at these huge buildings made of solid material. Look at these pillars here. Look at all, as far as you could, as the eye could see, everything was so organized and well maintained and built. Everything was clean. There was no like junky areas that every city now has. Look at the next city here. Let's look at this one actually. This is just the artist rendition, but look at how grand everything looked. Oh, it's trippy, right? It's like going back in time. The city where the gladiators actually fought. We still have gladiators these days. UFC. They always have these things. The Olympic Games, just like the Greek times, just to distract us. The elites have always made games for us, the people, the plebs, to be distracted. Look, there's what I'm talking about. But look, and they had the wall. Wow, imagine those days you have to like guard your city, or else another faction will come and like wipe you out, and just take everyone over. That would be scary, man. But I guess if you're a God-loving and fearing nation, then you don't have anything to worry about, because God's the real deal. You put him in your life, you put him first, and he'll take care of you. Just have faith in him, trust in him. You know, like I found out like a cousin of mine is reading this nonsense Freemasonic book. He told me to read it, and I started reading it, and I'm like, dude, this sounds like a Freemason book. And it pretty much teaches like to put that you're the master of your own universe, and that faith is like, what did it say? It said like faith. It's like pretty much put faith in yourself, and that you can harness the infinite energy of infinity. Like you can harness infinity, the energy of like, it's pretty much talking about like God, like an infinite force, and you can harness his energy and you can use it for yourself here on earth and attain riches here on earth. It's just so like, and then they tell you to like join up in a group and discuss this and learn about it. It's pretty much telling you to join the Masons, right? And now I'm like worried, like, is he a Mason? I mean, I love him, and I won't like fight with him, but I will tell him straight up what he's learning is wrong. That you have to put God in your first, and you have to have faith in God, and God is the only master of your future, right? I know I'm not like a millionaire, but do I want to be? I think if you're gonna be a millionaire, you're gonna be involved in these like cults, right? So let's look at now. I think there's some other cities here that I didn't get a chance to look at. I don't know where this. What is this, Nordstrom? I don't know what this place is, but we're gonna look at this place too. I just want to show you, like, again, churches, right? Churches. Everyone in the old days, they knew that God was real, and they knew that. What's this one? I hate how this opens all the time. I'm not advertising that. Oh yeah, look, he's using a sextant. It's like an old device that they would use to actually measure the distances of celestial objects, and to very good accuracy. And it just proves that you use this on a plane. We're living on a plane. And we still have these, actually. But let me see. People still like... Oh, look, I want to show you this one. Look at like this theater. I think this is in like Rome somewhere, but look at how ornate and structured, and like even the The roads that they built, the roads that the Romans built are still used today. They're so well built, and they're better than the roads that we build current day. Why? Well, maybe they were more advanced than us. What's happening? Maybe they were more advanced, guys. This is a long video, but it has a lot of information that you guys need to know. Look at all these churches, guys. Look at all these churches. Look, St. Paul. I'm just trying to find names that I recognize instantly, but just look at all these old. This is like what, year 1500 or something. Look at how they knew about God. Why would all these different parts of the world all be part of, like, have churches, Christian churches everywhere? Because they all knew after the flood. I'm telling you. Look, Austria. I want to show you this one. Okay, enough. And there's one more thing I want to show you at the end here. Look, churches. Let's see more of these churches here. St. Peter. Look at this. St. Peter. Look, they have a college there. And in the old days, they had different types of colleges. They had different types. Like, they had a natural medicine college. But then the medical industry was like, in the 1900s, the whole medical industry was monopolized and created. And they said they created their stupid official medical school. And they're like, hey, if you don't study here, you're not accredited. And a lot of these other private schools, they got, they couldn't compete with them. What's happening here? I think this is the same thing. Or is this a different angle? It's the same thing. Yeah, same thing. Why do I have two of the same one? I see three. I don't understand why it's one large, one small, whatever. Okay, now let's look at here. Last thing here. I just want to show you guys, look, this old stuff, old tech here. Look, so this guy, Nikola Tesla, he was the genius, the true scientist in history. Even Einstein admitted he was the true genius. Someone said, hey, how does it feel to be the smartest scientist in the world? And he says, I don't know. You should ask Nikola Tesla. And this is like, in the end, he realized that he was just a puppet for the elite. And Einstein was trying to, first of all, he just plagiarized. He stole people's patents. And they wanted to put him as like the genius who could like figure out everything, and put him in the main spotlight, in the mainstream, to like be like the genius scientist and promote the fake space and fake gravity BS. And then Nikola Tesla, he's the one who invented pretty much he invents electricity, gives us the free the world and tries to give it to us for free, right? And he created, what does he create? The alternating AC/DC, right? And then wow. Oh, he created a death ray. Yeah, I heard about that. Everything he made helped create all these other inventions, and then he pretty much dies alone in his whole apartment, and then all his scientific like data and work, like he wrote a bunch of papers, they just disappeared because the government probably took it all. Who knows, maybe they killed him and took it. Why wouldn't they? Look at this one. Yeah, this is what they teach us. This is what they don't teach us. Have you ever heard about this one? I mean, yeah, maybe this one could withstand accident, like a car accident, but this one has just more efficient. In fact, I heard about 10-15 years ago, one guy, he invented a modern day car that ran on water, a steam powered car, but it was modern. And guess what? He got killed. Someone killed him, and his invention never came to fruition. Look at this. Looks similar, right? Except this one looks like it doesn't even need the cables. Maybe it was using Tesla's tech. Because I believe that there was a steampunk era. They want to say, oh, it's just in video games, like in Bioshock and such. But I think there was an era right before the elite started monopolizing everything. Private industry was growing, and people were inventing things on their own. There was a lot of cool inventions that were happening. But, they don't want you to know about it. Look, 1593. And I don't know where this is. I don't know, somewhere in Europe, but maybe near Germany. But look at this. So many things are missing here. What happened here? Weird. Look. Right? Huh? Oh yeah. In 1949, almost 7 years ago, a Japanese car company called Tama developed an electric truck which could travel 200 kilometers on a single charge. Judging by how the automobile industry has progressed since then, many are beginning to wonder if certain technological advancements are being purposefully suppressed in order to protect profits within various established industries such as the oil, gas, and coal industries. Yep. Anyway, guys, that's all I want to show you guys. Thank you guys for watching. God bless you and your families.